change the fucking song. I refuse to give birth to Vanga boys. I am not. Yes. And everybody's jumping.
Matt's like, I'm in the middle of my interpretive dance. I can't change it.
The obstetrician was like, push. And I was like, I will not give birth to Vanga boys.
Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Life Uncut. I'm Brittany, and I'm very excited to introduce our guest today. She is the guest that we've had on, I guess, the most times in podcast history. She's had 1 week off.
We like to call her the milk maiden. I've already been shat on, spat on, vomited on this morning.
And that was just from Britt and I.
The baby's not even here yet.
Just wanted to welcome her back.
Laura Byrne back in studio after, I think, 10 days.
Thank you. It's been, I've had a really restful break. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, in my defense, I did tell you to have longer off, but you wanted to come back, and I understand why. FOMO's a real thing. Keisha and I have been having a lot of fun, but not too much fun.
No, I was like, I'll just get the birth story out the door before people don't care anymore.
It's so true. No, there's been a lot of questions about when this birth story was coming. I'm getting a lot.
Have they? Who has asked you?
I think just Keisha.
I was like, does anyone care? Is this just self-fulfilling?
People definitely care.
No.
I honestly, and I really want to say this, like all the lifers are in the discussion group, because like I had Poppy and then it was probably like 4 days until when we posted or said like, she's born. And I got into the Facebook group on day 4 and people were freaking the fuck out. And I'm so sorry because everyone was like, what's happened? Is there something wrong? Has something gone wrong? And it's because we were quite vocal and then we just went quiet. But it's because my vagina got decimated and so I just needed a bit of downtime to recover.
It checks out when your vagina is torn to shreds.
No,
you need to have some. No, it wasn't.
It actually wasn't. So
people knew when you were due. We talked about it. So everyone's dying to hear the news.
And also people knew I was in labor because I posted, Matt posted this like interpretive dance reel. Don't get me started. And then, so people knew that the day was imminent. It was happening. And then nothing happened afterwards, which I didn't really think it through. I wasn't trying to bait you guys. It's a lot. Giving birth is a lot.
Laura baited me. She was messaging me being like, is she or isn't she? Is she or isn't she? And I was like, just tell me. I'm like, is Poppy here?
Did I?
No.
I was like, I don't think that happened. What? I was like, that was definitely the epidural still
Laura,
wearing
I run
off.
the podcast now, so these are my stories. No, so, I mean, we're going to get into it, but we're on a time difference. So I was in Italy and I was constantly messaging like, how's it going? You in labor yet? But, I mean, we'll talk about it, but Laura and I were doing business deals the whole time that Laura was in labor. And I was trying not to, but she's like, it's fine. I can't feel much yet. So we were talking, we were emailing, we were doing things that we should absolutely not have been doing during a labor.
Which is the same. Like, I don't know how I managed to get myself into these situations, but we've joked about it before. When I was in labor with Lola, I was still emailing and doing work and everything else. And also, like I've said this before, I'm not trying to say this because I'm a hero. I have very good epidurals and they're extremely effective. If anyone ever wanted to know how effective they are, you can still run a business meeting after you're in active labor with an epidural.
And the only reason I allowed us to continue the business was because at the start I was like, I'm just don't worry about it. You take a break. I've got this. Like, you can trust me. We've been doing this for 6 years. You can trust me. But then we FaceTimed and she was great. She's like, I feel nothing. Just chat. We're chatting it through. I was like, okay, we can keep talking because you are okay.
Yeah, no, but to set the scene of today, we're in studio. Poppy is on my lap being the angel child that she is.
She did just poo like 3 times.
Yeah, standard though. So I got her out of the car. She'd already shit through one onesie. I brought her into the studio, gave her a feed. She pooed again, and then she vomited on me, and that all happened within a 20-minute period. But I feel elated. I'm having a great time.
Yeah, so we're going to go through Poppy's birth story, all the questions that you guys have written in because you have been writing questions in sporadically.
How sloppy was Poppy? I know you've all been curious.
Laura, I thought we were trying to drop that nickname. Poor Sloppy.
Britt actually asked last week if we could call this episode Poppy Has Popped.
Yeah,
that's fine.
What? Sloppy Poppy got vetoed. So
Well, before we get into all of the birth story details, and like some of you are so pervy because I did put up a question box. No, I put up a question box and I was like, you guys ask me whatever it is that you want to know and I'll answer all the questions. The number one most asked questions was, did I or didn't I shit myself? Which I know we're close and I know we're friends and I will answer it for you.
I don't think that's pervy.
It's the number one question.
Yeah, but I think that checks out. You know why? A lot of women poo themselves, as we know, but I think so many people don't talk about it, that the women that poo themselves are like, oh, how embarrassing, I'm an anomaly. But
no one thinks they're an anomaly.
No, we want to free the shit.
Yeah, here to destigmatize, but we'll get into all that. What has been happening in the whole 10 days that I've been gone?
Oh my God.
No, I've been gone for like 2 weeks by the time this comes out.
Yes, we've had a week off since we've been back. I had 10 days overseas. As you know, it's weird because
Matt's taken over my job on pickup. It's all been happening.
He's hustling for you to be out.
Yeah, I can tell. It's fine.
He's like, I think that's really great for a male to have a vibe in here. I don't know if Laura needs to come back. The only thing we haven't told you, like the only update we haven't told the lifers or you, Laura, and that's because it was pretty rough. Like it was pretty tumultuous and it took us a little bit of time to get over. But when...
I can tell that that's a joke already. So I'm like, what happened?
No.
There was a moment in time where it wouldn't have been a joke.
No,
and I was genuinely emotionally distressed.
Yeah. So Keisha has Delilah when I go overseas. And probably, I don't know, like 5 days in, I get a picture from Keisha that's like, hey, have you seen this on Delilah? Is this normal? And it's a picture of her mouth and she's like pulled down her lip and on her gum is this like, it's really ugly looking black mark.
I did see this. Keisha sent this to me as well and was like, she's got a growth on a gum.
Yeah. And so I was like, no, I'm pretty sure that wasn't there. And it looked really nasty. I'm pretty sure that wasn't there. And Keisha's like, yeah, I'm almost certain it wasn't because I've been admiring her smile lately. Keisha like has been admiring. Delilah's a very smiley dog.
It was just coincidental. It was 2 days beforehand. We were waiting at the traffic lights to cross the road and Delilah looked up at me with this beaming smile on her face, like her eyes were just glistening. And I looked at her teeth and I was on the phone and I actually made a comment to a friend being like, she's just got the most perfect little tiny teeth underneath. And I was talking about how Bonnie's puppy teeth are, going to fall out soon. And so I kind of took note of the fact that I was like 2 days ago, pink gums. Now, today,
Growth.
Quite a big black, like really dark and also not symmetrical spot had formed on her gums.
Yeah.
And an additional thing is that because Delilah has the albino gene, like I'm kind of hyper aware of the fact that she is more prone to get skin cancers. And because of where it was on her, like in her mouth, I was freaking out.
Yeah, dogs like Delilah with that albino gene, anything like pink skin, so like noses, gums, teeth, they're more likely to get a skin cancer. And so we were like, oh, that looks really nasty. Keisha's like, yeah. Is it okay? I know it's okay, but like give me the okay to take it to the vet. And I said, yeah, whatever you need to spend it, of course. So Keisha takes it to the vet, sends me some more close-ups, takes it to the vet, was at the vet for such a long time. And the vet was like, oh, it looks like it could be a mass. Like this looks bad. So Keisha's updating me and I'm like, okay, drop whatever money it is. It's fine. And then we start talking through it. We're like a mass, like cancer, basically. They were like.
But also very rapid growth if 2 days prior was, I mean, that seems almost not possible.
Well, that was kind of what was freaking me out, to be honest. So at the vet, they were saying, like, oh, yeah, it does look abnormal, and I was kind of holding Delilah's mouth open and she was having a look at it. And she said, it was a Wednesday, and she said, we can biopsy it next Tuesday. And I was like, no, this thing has come up in the space of 2 days. Like, this needs to happen. This needs to happen today or tomorrow. Like, I need the ball to roll quicker.
But we also don't know what a mass would look like in a dog on its gum. Like, has that been hiding underneath and the discoloration has just come through? So Keisha and her really good friend Nat, who's been on the podcast before, they start like basically phoning around everybody to see who can get her into a specialist the next day. Both of them. It was amazing. In the meantime, they've messaged, they know that Dr. Chris Brown, obviously Bondi vet, they messaged him with the details. I had simultaneously been messaging Chris. I always message Chris and I'm like, hey, Delilah's eating a poppy seed muffin. Is she going to die? So we'd been messaging Chris these pictures and he's like, look, it's really hard to see over a camera, but he's like, it could be a mass, but it could be like the root's dying like underneath. It could be a few things. He's like, I haven't been seen or I don't know and I can't see in person. But if the vet has looked at it and touched it and monitored it and they've said go to someone, he's like, yes, I think you should go to a specialist. So Keisha found somebody that got her in the next day. Now, mind you, I'm in Italy crying, thinking Delilah's going to die. I'm like, oh my God, she's got cancer in her mouth. What's going to happen? And in my head, I'm like, am I going to have to remove half of her jaw? Like, because it's this huge thing. And I'm like, what are we going to do? Keisha's beside herself crying. The specialist is like, yep, I can see you in the morning, moved appointments. It was going to be very expensive. And I was like, it's fine. I don't care.
Yeah.
And Delilah also, because we weren't sure, like if it was an infected tooth or something like that, or if it had to have immediate surgery, obviously we wouldn't get the biopsy results straight away, but we had to prepare her to go under. So
Yeah.
you can't give them food for a certain amount of time and all that kind of thing. And so poor little Lily was just like looking at me like, why is Bonnie getting breakfast and I'm not?
Yeah.
Why are you starving me out with your new golden child?
Why do you keep on crying?
So she's prepped. She's prepped for surgery. She's at the specialist. I've given her my credit card. Dr. Chris is messaging, being like, make sure you keep me posted with everything that's happening. I'm sorry I can't be there. I haven't seen it. Keisha gets her into the specialist, who's cleared the schedule, and she walks in. The specialist puts her on the table. She's like, we're ready to put her under biopsy, and if we need to operate at the same time, we'll figure it out once we're in. And we're like, yeah. 10 seconds in, you know what they do? They pull her lip down. They touch the mass, the cancer that was going to kill Delilah. And in fact, they pull out a dreadlock.
It was a dreadlock. Sorry, I didn't know that part of it. But surely the first vet needs to be held accountable. What did the first vet do?
They pulled out a dreadlock. It wasn't cancer. It was her own dreadlock that she ate.
I feel like people who are listening to this and not watching it on YouTube will be like, are you the most stupid person? Like, how can you possibly mistake that? When you see a photo of it, I feel like you'll have more understanding as to why I thought it was something. It had calcified and like kind of stuck to her gut.
Yeah,
Because
but
I'd obviously
surely-
tried to move it.
Absolutely, but surely the first vet could have tried.
I'm not a vet.
Could have tried a bit harder. That person went to school for a long time.
No, I don't know where that first vet got their degree from. The cancer that was going to take her life was a dreadlock of her own that she
How much
ate.
did you go back to the first vet and ask for a refund?
I know,
don't
but
think she
bless Sydney Pet Dentistry, he looked at me and I looked at them straight away and I was having such mixed emotions. The main one was relief, but the other was like
Humiliation.
I probably look like the stupidest person that's ever walked through this door. And I looked at them and I was like, is this the silliest thing anyone has ever come to see you for?
And he said,
they
yes,
laughed.
absolutely.
And they were like, no, but it's definitely up there. And then they turned to me and they were like, don't worry, we're not going to charge you for this appointment. So like, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wait, what was the name of that business again?
Sydney Pet Dentistry.
Oh yeah, shout out.
Honest, shout out the fact that you were ready to save my dog from cancer, but then
Yeah.
double shout out that you didn't charge us when the cancer was a dreadlock.
No. He also turned and he was like, do you want to keep it? And I said, I think I better take it with me so I can send a photo to Britt and tell her that everything's okay.
Bless.
Dude, can you deal?
Is
How
this-
does that
did you
happen?
wait? Did you keep it? Is this kind of
Yeah.
like okay?
Yeah,
How
I
long are you
kept
going to
it.
keep it for?
I feel like we should frame it as like a gratitude for what could have been.
Oh, but what a tumultuous ride. What a ride that was over a couple of days of thinking you're going to lose your dog, but that she just is eating her own hair.
It's. Do you know what? I feel like a lot of people have ended up at the vet for things that really end up being not like it could be worst case scenario, but it really ends up being fine. I remember when I thought Buster was dying, he would not stop shitting himself. He'd shat all over the house, vomiting. I had to take him into the vet. It was like so much money. They monitored him. And then they were like, I think he's just overeaten. And then we discussed it. And Ness had taken him to like some vegan farmer's market and he had so many
He had
treats.
too much fiber.
He'd just eaten too many treats that day.
Too many lentils.
Yeah. I'm glad that Delilah is okay.
Anyway,
I'm sorry for the scare. And I'm very, very grateful that they didn't charge you because that would have been an expensive dentist appointment.
I'd love
for no
to
reason.
hear what your dogs have eaten though, guys. If your dogs have eaten something that you've ended up at the vet, please tell us. But anyway, besides that, like tumultuous ride, all is well. So let's get into your tumultuous ride or
I
childbirth.
don't even know where to start. I mean, the last time we talked, I was telling you that we kind of didn't have a birth plan. I was being induced. I hadn't packed a bag and I was just completely disorganized. I think it's
were.
pretty much like that's the summation of the last time we chatted, everyone.
Yeah.
And it stayed true to that. Nothing changed.
I guess let's start with you, not Poppy. Sorry, Poppy. You can come in a minute. But like, how are you feeling now?
We talked about this the other day when I came. I came and visited Britt and Keish. We were at your house. And if I'm honest with myself, and it's something that we didn't really talk about on the pod at all because I didn't really realize it until after having her, I think a lot of what was wrapped up in me being like, I'm being realistic. This is my third child. I'm just like preparing myself for the worst. I actually think I genuinely thought I was going to be a bit depressed after having her. And I want to be careful how I say that. I was prepared to have another Lola, and Lola was a really bad sleeper. She was really tricky. She didn't eat. There was no support because it was during COVID. Like it was a really, really hard time to have a baby.
Well, for context, quickly, Marlie was the dream boat.
Yeah, she was a unicorn.
Which is why Lola came so quickly because you're like, I could do 20 of these. And Lola was just a hard baby.
Yeah, and Matt was doing Dancing with the Stars, so he was never around. And like it was just a really, really hard time. And if I'm honest with myself, I think I was quite I don't want to say depressed because I was never diagnosed, but I was quite down after having Lola. And I definitely had the baby blues and I definitely struggled a lot. Like I struggled a lot after her. And so I think I just convinced myself that this was going to be really, really hard and that this was going to be the same. And that adding a third to the mix, like, well, I mean, just purely the numbers game of having a third, that's going to be fucking horrible.
And do you think that this was sort of wrapped up in, because you were often saying, I'm not as excited for this one, but it's because I've done it before and I'm busy. So I'm just not as excited, but I'll be good when it's here. But do you think that you were using that as a bit of a cover because you were scared you were going to have these maybe post blues?
And even worse than like not being excited, I was not feeling connected to the pregnancy at all. Like I was not, people would say like, are you excited? And I'd be like, yeah, really wasn't excited. It wasn't that I didn't want to have a third and it wasn't that I wasn't, looking forward to having Poppy and like meeting her. I just didn't have this like the warm, fuzzy feeling or the excitement around pregnancy. And I definitely didn't feel connected to the baby that was in my belly. And so I think I kept on coming up with other excuses. But now that she's here and now that I've been through the birth, I realized it was actually just a lot of fear and that I was like very, very worried about what life was going to look like. And I had mentally prepared myself to be miserable for a year.
So
which just
preemptive
sounds
anxiety
Yeah.
about what it could be. Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'm just going to accept the fact that I'm going to be really stressed out. I'm not going to have any sleep and I'm probably going to hate my life for a year and then we'll get good. Then it will be fine. Then I'll be able to, claw back some sort of normality again. After she was born, I was like, okay, well, I know day 2 is going to be really hard because, I mean, for a lot of people, if you have kids and you've gone through birth, day 2 is kind of when the baby blues hit because you've had this like absolute rush of endorphins and then there's nowhere for them to go except be gone and then you're completely depleted. So I was like, okay, day 2's here. Today's the day I'm going to feel sad. And then I was like, oh, okay, I don't feel that sad. And then I was like, maybe it's going to be day 3. I'm going to be really sad. And then it just didn't hit. Like I didn't have that down in the same way that I thought I was going to have it. Like, of course, I had the feeling of being tired and everything else, but it wasn't what I was expecting. I honestly think that I was preparing myself mentally for the worst, but I wasn't actually expecting the best outcome either, if that makes sense. So I know how sometimes you go, oh, I'm preparing myself for the worst and hoping for the best.
Yeah.
I think I was preparing for the worst and expecting the worst. So then when it didn't hit, I was like, oh, that's right. You can have a baby and be really happy afterwards.
I'm going to be okay.
I forgot. And then I messaged Matt on day 3 and I was like, this is so great. Maybe we should have another one. And he was like,
Matt did say that.
He told me that he's going to go and book that vasectomy and told me to go fuck myself.
Which you'll have to do for a
You
little while.
will have
you
to
get-
do. Yeah, I'm
I was
down.
like, I'm having the time of my life. But no, I mean like, yes, he is probably going to go and have a vasectomy, but I have just been like so blissfully happy. And this is how I felt after I had Marlie. And I think there's so much information out there and there's so many conversations around how hard motherhood is. Like we know that is a very real outcome for a lot of people. And it's been one of my outcomes of 3 kids now. I'm only a couple of weeks in, so I don't want to say it's too good too early, but
Yeah.
she is such a good little sleeper. She's like, I mean, she's been sitting on my lap this entire time and hasn't made a peep. She's such a good eater. Like I think when you have those like main pillars down pat, the eating, the sleeping. Oh, now she's going to say hello.
Yeah.
The eating, the sleeping and all those sorts of things. If they fall into place early on.
Makes it for a dream.
And you have support. So I had a very different birth experience this time to last time, which I'll explain as well. It was like night and day from the experience with Lola.
Which is
night and day.
It's so nice to hear too, because the last thing you want is knowing that the next year of your life is going to be like your personal hell. That's not to say you don't love them, but like it can make or break you. If you're not sleeping at all and you have a baby that is crying with indigestion constantly and like it affects your entire life.
It's the crying. It's when you don't know why they're crying and the crying doesn't stop and they're clearly in pain or they're clearly uncomfortable. And the only time that they're going to sleep is if they're strapped to your body. And it's like you can put up with it for a while and you definitely have so much empathy for them because you're like, they're going through it. But then you get to a point at like the 4-week mark or the 3-week mark where you're like, I'm dying. Like this is a fucking near-death experience because I haven't slept. And it erodes everything. It erodes your relationship with your partner. It erodes your relationship with your other kids because you can't show up in the way that's like positive and happy. So I think anyone who has ever had a bad sleeper or a baby with colic, like you know how full on that is and how hard it is to kind of like get your head around what it's going to be like.
You really wanted to go natural this time. You wanted your waters to break. You wanted to have that feeling of like going
Spontaneous labor.
But It
No.
didn't happen for you.
It did not happen. I had all the stretch and sweeps. Even, I mean, as you know, Britt offered to give me some. I'm still waiting for my stretch and sweep, Britt.
You don't have to be pregnant for me to do it. We can do it anytime.
I don't know what the outcome would be, but yeah, sure. It didn't happen. I didn't go into spontaneous labor. I was induced, which is a good thing because I never packed a hospital bag. So I packed that the night before. We left it. Basically, so when you're induced, you call up the hospital in the morning. You check if they have space for you. So you make sure like someone hasn't gone into an emergency labor or something else. So we woke up at 6:30 in the morning. I called the hospital. I was like, today's the day. And a lovely midwife on the phone was like, yeah, come on down. So we got the kids ready for school. We dropped Lola off at daycare. We dropped Marlie off at school.
It's such like a normal day. It's weird because you're like, you know that your life's about to change, but you're still just packing the lunchbox.
Totally. It was so weird. Like I was literally making a ham sandwich in the morning and then I was explaining to the girls that mummy was going to go to the hospital and had the baby. And so we dropped off the kids at school, went to the hospital. I met my sister there. So my sister came and she was there for the entire time as well, which someone messaged because I did do a call out and I was like, what are your pervy questions? And someone was like, wasn't that weird having your sister in the room? Like, where did she stand? And she stood at the business end. She got to witness all of it. She told me yesterday, she said, wow, I've never thought a vagina could be so fat. And I was like, thank you.
Wow.
Thank you. She told me that after I told her mine had gone back relatively to normal. But anyway, I'll give you more information about that shortly. So she was at the business end, but she was in the room for Marlie's birth. And then I was in the room for both of her births. She couldn't be there for Lola because COVID baby.
I also think it depends. Some people might find that really weird. Like, can't believe your sister was in there. Weird. But that depends on your relationship with your sister. I mean, you're so close with your sister. You see her every day. You work with her, your business partners, and you grew up, really, really tight.
You basically grew up in the same house.
No, I was going to say you grew up really
You grew up
close.
with the same parents.
No, because there's plenty of people that have siblings where you could never imagine them being in your life. Like
Yeah,
a sister,
totally.
having a sister doesn't necessarily mean having a friend. They don't equate to the same thing.
Like imagine having one of your brothers in the room with you whilst you're giving birth.
I was going to say something sick, man. But you saw my brain. Hey, I was like, went for a sick joke and I was like, not going to do it. I would have my sister in there with me, easy.
Yeah.
Is there a part of you that even like regardless of how great your partner can be, if you're in a hetero relationship, is there a part that you still want a woman there?
No, not really. Because
Okay.
like I had a great experience with Matt being in the room for Lola.
His interpretive dance was great.
And it was just him. But Matt takes labor seriously at go time. But I think because I have an epidural and there's a lot of waiting once you've had an epidural. And really, like if you have a good epidural, like you don't really feel anything. Like I know we joked about it, but yeah, I was doing emails. Alicia and I were talking about work. Matt was filming TikTok fucking interpretive dance reels. Like you really just have a lot of time to kill. But there is something that I found very interesting because I went private this time, didn't go public. And I had heaps of questions around what did I prefer. And I want to be really careful with this because firstly, private and public have their own benefits and negatives, right? Both of them do. Private's negatives being that it's fucking expensive.
Yeah. Which is why you went public twice.
It's so expensive. So I've been public twice and both of those experiences were fine, right? And would have been good if I didn't have my own complications, which probably would have been the same outcome had I been private or public. The thing about public, though, is that you don't have a lot of aftercare or as much aftercare in hospital. There's like you only have 1 or 2 days in hospital and then you go home and the aftercare happens at home.
Well, because someone else needs to have their baby.
Yeah, and there isn't as much space, right? So, and you also often have to have a shared room afterwards. So you go into a shared room with other mothers and other babies and there's not really room for your partner to stay. So, and I'm sure other hospitals are different, but that's the experience of the hospital I went to. I went home after about 12 or 13 hours. So for me, it was like I had a baby, I went home. So the hospital experience was fine, but it was the lack of aftercare at home. Yes, the midwives come and visit you at your house, but when you've got another baby at home, you've got fucking washing to do and stuff, like you're not laying down and resting in the same way. You're not recovering. Whereas going private, I stayed in hospital for like almost 5 days. I stayed there for the full time and they bring you high tea and you have fucking mini sandwiches and all day they're like, would you like a tea? Would you like a coffee? Like all day you're being taken care of in a room that's your own and that is obviously private.
That $20,000 private bill was worth it for that cup of tea.
But it's so expensive. So we didn't have private health insurance, as you guys know. And you pay your obstetrician firstly. So you pay them over the course of your pregnancy, which is around $9,000 that's what the total bill is throughout all your appointments and everything. But it's kind of broken up by like $500 increments because of your appointments with them.
It's like a package.
Yeah. And then you go to hospital and you have like, so to stay in hospital and to like have your birth in a birthing suite is $7,000 or $7,500. But then what I wasn't aware of is that you pay for all the additionals. So when the pediatrician comes and sees and does a check on the baby, you just get an email of a bill. When you have an epidural, you get an email for a bill.
That's sneaky because you think you're just paying for the stay that's inclusive, like an all you can eat.
They're add-on extras.
I didn't realize that everything was an add-on. So like the epidural.
We got high teas charged individually.
Matt literally said that. He was like, are we going to get
Do you want another tea? We can charge another $200.
He's like, if I get an extra bill for an egg sandwich, Laura, he's like, I've had enough. But you receive bills afterwards, which is obviously probably okay if you've got private health insurance. So my recommendation would be if you are going to have a baby and you do want to go private and you have the luxury of time, make sure that you do that 1 year of paying the higher levy through your private health insurance.
God,
so that
I
way,
don't have that.
So that way you're covered for pregnancy. Whereas if you're not covered and you have to pay all of those additionals, then yeah, it's expensive. But it was like staying in a health retreat, guys. Okay, like in comparison to going home, I genuinely was like, I never want to go home. I want to stay here with this lovely midwife.
There's a lot of Asian countries. It's amazing. I don't know if you've seen it. Like they're trending at the moment on Instagram and TikTok and stuff. But what they do is really look after the mum when they have birth. You go to a 2 to 3 week, actually it could even be a month long. It's almost a retreat. Like you take your baby, but they have people there that look after your kids all day. You are looked after. You are getting massages. You're getting the best food. You're sleeping, and there's like a night nanny and a day nanny, and the idea is we will look after you for a month so that you are in such a good space to go home and start your life as a mum. And I'm like, brilliant. And that's not like I have to be a private health insurance. It's like just they just look at mothers differently.
I think though that is a private situation even in different countries. Like I think that there is such a broad spectrum of how the postpartum experience can be for people. And I really, like I said, I want to be really careful because I don't want to shit on the public system. The public system is incredible. You receive all of that for free. You can go into a hospital in Australia. You can have a baby for free with incredible midwives. You can be so well taken care of, but you do have to go home faster, and it depends on what your at-home situation is like. And if your at-home situation sucks or you've got other kids that are climbing all over you, it's really, really hard. And I think that that's what sets a lot of women up for feeling super fucking depressed and feeling as though they're overwhelmed. And I remember, and I've said it before, I remember getting home 12 hours after having Lola. Marlie was only 19 months, so she's in a nappy. She's like running around. She's all over me. We're in a tiny apartment and it was COVID. There was just zero support. And I remember sitting on the side of the bed. Lola hadn't stopped crying since she'd come home and thinking, oh my God, we've ruined our life. Like, what have I done? Like, I remember those feelings. I was so sad. The difference of had I been in a hospital situation and I'd felt like that, I could have buzzed a midwife and been like, I feel really not okay. I feel really, really sad. What can I do? And someone would have been there to make you, to support you, you know?
Or just help you for a minute.
Yeah, but when you feel like that, you also don't want to burden your partner with those feelings either. So I just sat by myself feeling horrible and being like, oh my God, what do I do with this feeling? Whereas like I didn't have that when I was in the hospital setting. So yeah, I had a very different experience and it was incredible and it cost the price of a small secondhand car, but it was fucking worth it for me. And I feel incredibly privileged that I have the ability to pay for that now. Yeah. I couldn't have afforded it with Lola and Marlie. You know, that's why I didn't even entertain the option.
I actually think there's a bigger conversation here though. And like COVID is a kind of a specific set of isolation that was incredibly isolating. But I think our culture is really shit with the whole village shit. I know that a lot of other cultures, you know, they say it takes a village to raise a kid, and especially in that very early stages, I think they do it a lot better than us. You know, they have a lot of people rally so that the mum can sleep, so that there's people there to support, you know, and I know that a lot of this is like female based, like a lot of it is the women come around the mum at the time, but I actually think that we need to be borrowing from those other cultures and change the way that we kind of approach motherhood.
Totally. When I went to I had like a specialist appointment with her just a couple of days ago, and the woman I was speaking to was a midwife. She was like, the levels of postpartum depression during COVID were the highest that we've ever seen, like women presenting with postpartum depression because the isolation was so high. So I do think it was a unique version of postpartum. But yeah, this just felt, it actually felt joyful, and there was so much about this birth experience. When people told me or have told me in the past that they've had like a really positive birth experience that they've felt happy from and they've felt joyful after, I was like, you're
like a liar.
Yes.
You're like,
yes.
bullshit,
I was like,
yeah.
I was like, motherhood is great, but that's a lie.
Yeah.
Because birthing sucks. And then I experienced it this time and I was like, okay. Like I literally laughed this baby out. Like between contractions, we were all in the room hysterically laughing, which to me just goes against every version of what I thought birthing could be.
That might have been the gas.
It might have been the playlist.
It was the fucking playlist, guys. Okay, let's
Push
talk about
it real good.
Let's talk about the playlist for a second. So if you listen to the episode, like the last episode that I was on, we did a call out for you guys to help us create the most epic birthing playlist. And it is called Push It Real Good. And it is for all the lifers giving life.
Thank you for putting that in. That was my name.
It was. There was a couple of specifications with this. Like we opened it up to all of you to add your songs. I wanted to listen to this whilst I was in labor. I wanted it to feel like a party. I love a pun. So if you wanted to like make it semi-birth related, I was like all for that. There were a couple of questionable ones in there. Whoever put Poo Poo Bum Bum in there really has some explaining to do. Poo Poo Bum Bum. It's like, it's like a kid's song.
I think that because I created the playlist, I can see who's added what.
Oh no, I deleted Poo Poo Bum Bum because I was like, if this plays again, I'm gonna have a conniption.
My kid can't come out to Poo Poo Bum Bum.
But it was like the best playlist. It was none of this calming birth stuff. It just honestly from the second we got in the room, it felt like a party.
You know what I wish I put on there, but I forgot? Eminem, Lose Yourself. You better lose
It was
yourself.
on there.
Oh, was it?
It was on there.
Oh, great.
Yeah, it was on there. Also, someone put Informer. Do you remember?
Informer. Yeah.
And Nicky Boom Boom Bell. So good.
The word that no one knows any words except boom.
Well, okay, this is too much, but I'm going to do it anyway, and we can decide whether or not we want to cut this out. The reason why that just like so deeply took me back to a place of nostalgia is because as a kid, you know the bridge part, which is like, I know it, so I'm going to sing it for you. I was hanging at the cool with my tippy girl. Police not my cool. They got my pal. Lock me up so I can't do a thing. Pick up the horn on the telephone ring. I like sat in there and I just had this moment of childhood nostalgia and I was so filled with fucking joy. And then I was rapping the whole thing and Matt was... Even he was like, who is this person? And also my sister knows the whole thing. So her and I were just having this real bonding moment. And the midwife walked in and thought we were insane. She was like, oh, I like this room, but I'm a bit scared.
She was like, has Alicia also been on the gas? Are you guys sharing the gas?
There was no gas. So yes, it was a lit playlist. However, she was crowning. She was like out. Like her head was 3/4 of the way out. And then I became very cognizant of the song that was playing. And I was like, change the fucking song. I refuse to give birth to Vanga boys. I am not pulling this child out of me to the Vanga boys. Yes. And everybody's jumping. So whoever put that on the playlist, it was great, but it wasn't the crowning moment.
Matt's like, I'm in the middle of my interpretive dance. I can't change it.
The obstetrician was like, push. And I was like, I will not give birth to Vanga boys.
Laura sucks it back up. She's like,
and Matt runs over mid-contraction and he's trying to and he's like, what song? I was like, I don't fucking care. Just put the start of the playlist back on. So he put it back to the very start. And the very start, Keisha, is I'm coming out. I want the world to know. Got to let it
I'm
show.
so honoured. I'm going to remember that forever. I'm going to tell Poppy that at her 21st.
Yeah, so I pulled her out of me and put her on my chest to I'm coming out.
it would have been better actually to have the Lion King. No.
I recommend it though, guys. If you are having a baby anytime soon, if you got a friend who's going to be in labor,
Get health insurance.
Get health insurance,
And then get a playlist.
postpone it for an entire year, and then like go on this playlist because it is a fucking vibe and a half. We had the best time in there.
It's got 1,800 saves. So
Yeah.
someone also wrote to us saying that it was a really good running playlist.
Birthing or running? I mean, both of them are endurance sports.
Can I lost us?
Yeah, I was going to say maybe I'll play it for my baby making playlist. Is that push it real good?
Oh yeah, but then like I said, there's some weird ones on there. I don't think it's a lovemaking playlist. I think
It's banging though. The
yeah.
Banger Boys. The Banger Boys. Okay, anyway,
it's
let's move on.
definitely a banger.
Hey, let's chat labour a length.
Okay, so firstly, the only other thing I wanted to add before we kind of get too far off the private public conversation. So with Marlie and Lola, who were both public, I had been told that I had to be in established labor in order to get an epidural. So I had to be in fully established labor. And look, that's fine. I'm not too posh to push, and I'm not like saying I don't want to have any pain, but both of my children are posterior, which means their spine is against my spine, plus I've been induced. So the pain is not a normal labor pain. It is very, very, very intense and results in every contraction I'm vomiting. So it's an awful experience.
I've also learned recently that if you go into like a labor naturally, you have like chemicals in your body that actually do provide some pain relief. I've heard that it can be a lot more painful if you are induced.
Yeah.
Because like it mimics the chemicals, but it doesn't do all of them.
Well, it's just a lot more intense and it happens a lot faster. And also, if your baby's posterior, you're already having a real hell of a time because there's the nerve endings of the spine on spine is really painful. So I had been told we cannot give you an epidural until you're in established labor. That's what I'd been told for both births. Turns out that is not true. And I felt really angry and I felt really gypped because I was like, well, it had always been my birth plan to have an epidural with all of my births. So why wasn't I able to have it from the very beginning when you knew I was going into some sort of labor when contractions had started?
It's probably not that it's not true. It's probably just true for the public system because they have less people on hand. So it's more like, hey, these are our set of rules. Unfortunately, we can only do it once you're in labor because they don't have enough people to constantly be coming for everyone. And so I think that it's not that it's a lie in terms of labor, but it would be the public system's truth.
Yeah, I understand that. You know what? I'm glad that you said that because I did feel like I'd been a bit gaslit. Like I did feel like I'd been lied to because the way it had been said to me was exactly that. We can't give it to you until you're in established labor, which for me, filling in the blanks, I understood it to be, well, it's because it can only be done at this point in time. But it's really hard to have an epidural when you're in intense pain because you have to stay completely still.
Totally.
And so there's more chance for something to go wrong because you move, because you're having a fucking contraction. The anaesthetist came in and he was an absolute vibe and a half. Like he was great. And I was like, look, realistically, I want to feel as little of this as possible. And he was like, well, we'll just do it now. And I was like, what do you mean you can do it now? And he's like, well, if you know you're going to have it, he's like, we'll just do it now. And I was like,
and would you like some high tea?
I was like, but I'm not in labor. And he's like,
here's your curried egg sandwich.
He was like, well, you've had a few contractions, you're fine. And he's like, I would prefer to do it now so that I'm not trying to do it when you're in active labor. And also he's like, you're going to be in active labor. You're going to be calling me. It's going to take me 25 minutes to get here. He's like, I'll just do it now and you'll be sweet. So it was just such a different time because as soon as that was in, I was like, woo!
Dream. Absolute
the
dream.
Venga bus is coming and everybody. Yeah, so that was
disco lie.
So I think the thing with private is you have more opportunity of choice.
Yeah.
That's what feels different to
That's
me.
what you're paying for.
Yeah, you have more say. And I think people talk you through it a little bit more. And that was my experience. It might not be the case for everyone, but mine was that I felt a little bit more in control. I felt like I had more options and I felt like I had been given a little bit more time and explanation.
So what's the roundabout? What is the cost for someone to go private knowing that you didn't have health insurance for those playing at home?
Oh, it's crazy expensive.
Like
It'd be about
$20,000?
$20,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say about $17,000.
That's what I would expect. I think that's not going to shock people. I think that that's probably what we think is pretty standardized for a private
Really?
experience.
I think it would
That's
shock
more
people.
than what I thought it would be.
Oh,
yeah.
I always thought it was about 20 grand without insurance.
Yeah, which is why I'm like, if you have the health insurance,
Get it.
like, yeah. If you don't, I don't reckon it's something that's feasible for most people to do. And I certainly, like, I mean, it was my last hurrah. Okay,
But also it was too late
I
for
didn't
you.
get a push present.
You were already too deep because you thought you had the insurance.
Totally.
You'd already locked it in. You're like, oh, well.
Totally. So then, okay, look, I mean, moving into the actual birth situation. So I'd had my epidural. The three of us were just in the room for a really long time. Like most of the time, I would say like my inductions usually last about 6 to 7 hours. Like I get induced and I have the baby within 6 or 7 hours. It was about 9 o'clock at night and they hadn't checked me yet. So like I hadn't been checked to see if I was fully dilated or anything. And I really didn't feel like I was. Like I didn't really feel like anything was happening.
You'd had an epidural.
Yeah, but I guess you probably
Of course you didn't feel feel it.
I think you're more in your body, right? You know your body. You just feel like nothing was changing at all.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you can still kind of tell that like
Yeah.
stuff's happening a bit faster and a bit more like
It doesn't make you
furiously.
completely numb. You can't like stab a knife in your leg and you don't feel anything.
No, you feel pressure. If you
Yes.
stabbed a knife into your leg, you wouldn't feel any pain.
They do an ice cube test, don't they?
Yes,
Yeah.
they ran an
Yeah.
ice cube down your sides to see. So
Yeah.
anyway, you see your obstetrician. Being an obstetrician's a fucking great job if nothing goes wrong, right? They just pop in, they swan in, they have a look, they swan out. They're not there for the whole time.
Every obstetrician right now is like rolling over in their bed being like, this fucking chick thinks that this job is easy.
No, my obstetrician was amazing. But what I'm saying is if it's an easy birth, it's a great job.
Yeah.
If it's a tricky birth, oh my God, you want a great obstetrician. But if it's an easy birth, they're literally there for 25 minutes, then they're gone.
I remember, so obviously the time difference in Italy, I remember it was like early evening and I'd messaged Laura knowing that she'd already been in labour for a long time. And I was like, where you at? What's the progression? And you were like, I've been labouring for a few hours, not yet, but can't be that long. And I remember thinking, oh, cool, it's bedtime for me. By the time I wake up, there will be a baby. I'll wake up to a baby message because it's like 8 hours. I woke up and you were like, no, nothing yet, not fully dilated. And I thought, what the hell?
Yeah, it was a long time. But basically, the midwife came in. So we had one midwife. She finished for the day. We had another midwife come in who was lovely. And she was like, look, let's just have a look. Let's have a geezer. So she goes down there, has a squeeze, and she's like, oh, you're 10 centimeters. You're ready. Next contraction, start pushing.
You're like, so what?
She was so chill about it. And it was like
You're
the
like,
whole...
I'm not prepared.
I was like, I'm not ready.
I'm not, is it really coming right now? I don't want to push it. I want another sandwich.
Literally. I was like, that chicken pie was really good. No, so she looked down there. She was like, yeah, next contraction, just give a push. And I was like, should we get the obstetrician down? And she was like, nah, you'll be fine. Just give it a push. And she's like, we'll just start moving the baby down. So anyway, next contraction came, push. And then I think there was like 2 contractions that I was pushing through. And Matt was like, do you reckon we should get Bobby, like the obstetrician, to come down now? She's like, yeah, I've called him. He's on his way. He walks in. I've like pushed for 2 contractions by then. And like I said, we were honestly pissing ourselves laughing. So at the end of each contraction, someone would say something that was funny. And it was just like everyone was laughing, except for Matt. He seemed quite worried. But everyone else was laughing in the room. And it was a really amazing environment. And then I think I pushed for maybe 5 contractions or 4 contractions. That was it.
That's it.
That was it. And then I could feel heaps of pressure. And I was like, oh, could you top up the epidural? And the midwife was like, no point, sweetheart. She's like, the reason why you can feel that is because there's a head there. Put your hands down.
Yeah, nothing's stopping them.
And I put my hands down. I was like, oh my God, there's a head there. And then Bobby, the obstetrician, was like, do you want to pull her out? And I didn't have a good hold. So like,
Wait, what?
So yeah,
Like
you
a
pull them
football-
out of
You do.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
like pull them out.
Surely that's why there's other people in the room. Like, if there's one thing
I was like,
you
I'm
don't
paying
have to
you
do-
$20,000. Pull it out.
You fucking pull
no,
it out.
it's nice for you to pull it out. It's nice.
No, it is nice, but I had a really bad grip. They're so slippery.
You're like, I'm not an athlete. I never played
You
sport.
were never ball sports girl.
They're so slippery and you can't see what you're grabbing. And then you're also like, oh my God, someone support the head. And so
Laura reaches down and pulls up a turd. She's like, not quite what I thought she'd look like.
so I grabbed her, but I grabbed her in this really weird angle. I like had like one finger underneath an armpit and like the other one's like in her ear. And I didn't know what I was grabbing. And I pulled her out and I put her on my chest. And to be fair, she has just been the chillest baby since she was born. She didn't cry at the start at all. And I was like, is she okay? Like everyone's laughing. And I was like, is she fine?
Because usually
Someone, I was like, someone make the baby cry. Like, she was a bit blue, but they're always a bit blue. They come out kind of grey-ish, covered in slime.
It's not hot at the start.
Yeah, they come out so white.
And
'cause
alien.
They're
look
like
an
covered
alien.
in all that mucusy stuff. Yeah, she was just on my chest. And after a little while, I was getting a bit like, sorry guys, I know everyone's having fun here, but like, is she okay?
Yeah, someone look at her.
And the midwives were like, she's fine. Everyone's fine. It's all fine. And then she took a big breath and she cried and it was perfect. And then they were all fussing down around my hoo-ha. Like they were just all down there fucking doing shit as they always are. 'Cause like pushing on your stomach and trying to get the placenta out. And I was like, is everything fine down there? And they were like, yeah, you just lost a bit of blood. We're just keeping an eye on it because so when they come out really quickly, you're more inclined to lose blood. And like, anyway, so And then I could hear squelching noises and I was like, how much blood am I losing? And everyone's still laughing at this point in time. And I was a bit like, I was also, but I was kind of a bit worried about what was going on. So you lose up to a litre of blood before they even care.
Yeah.
Before they even are worried about it. They're like, anything under a litre, you're fine.
This is a really good time to talk about blood donation. They need blood donation for people giving birth.
Go and donate blood. So I lost 700 mils.
You only have about 5 litres in total for reference.
Yeah, I was like, that seems like a lot of blood. And what they do is they take the pads away and they weigh the pads. So they weigh how much blood is coming out at any one time. And then you have to actually birth your placenta as well. So you've birthed the baby and then you don't push with contractions, but you definitely have to they kind of half pull it out. It's a process.
It's a whole thing.
It's a whole other thing that has to come out of you.
Is it really weird watching something take its very first breath? Is that actually quite beautiful?
It's amazing.
Yeah.
The whole thing is amazing. It's the most natural crack you're ever going to have because as soon as you do it, you're like, I could do that again.
I don't know if you've high pressure hosed before.
I don't know if you've DIY painted a bedroom, but yeah.
I did buy pressure hose on the weekend. I'm not going to lie. I used it. It was amazing.
I just get the most intense feeling of euphoria post having a baby that I'm like, woo, let's go again. So yeah, I want to have another. But
all right, let's quickly
I'm not allowed
bypass
to.
that feeling.
So to answer everyone's question, did you shit yourself?
Okay, number one question that was asked, did I shit myself? No. I'd happily, proudly say that I've gone 3 for 3 and have yet shat myself during a birth.
Don't
Definitely
say
shat myself during
proudly because there's nothing wrong with shitting yourself.
No, we did say that we're here to destigmatize, but unfortunately, I'm not part of the crew of pooping myself.
Yeah.
However, I have been in the room when people have pooped themselves during labour. Nothing wrong with it. Live your best life.
Alicia, you've just outed
Alicia. I was like, that was so funny. I was like, what? But there's only one birth you've been in.
My sister did shit herself during her labour. No,
but they're so good.
Who cares?
No, that's what I'm saying. They're so good that the second somebody has pooed themselves, it's gone. It's gone. The midwives have cleaned it. You don't even know. They usually don't tell you.
They don't tell you. They just whip it away, weigh it, and off they go.
Nothing to see here.
But I think that it's more normal to do it than not to do it.
Yes.
I only didn't because your girl had the runs for 3 days prior.
Cute.
So I was clean as whistle, but that wasn't intentional. But yeah, I would say that it's probably more common to than not to. And also who cares? Everything else is coming out from downstairs. Why do you worry?
Well, while we're sitting in this conversation, and feel free not to answer it, but I know it's a question a lot of people want to know, and it's not often discussed. So Laura and I were on the phone chatting maybe 2 days later, and you were like, oh my God, I've got to go. It's time. It's time for the first post-birth poo.
Oh, it's
and
horrifying.
you were like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to hang up. I'm scared because there's this idea that the first poo that you do after a baby is not great. So is that true that it's so much more painful?
You're not the only person. I messaged Vanessa and I was out of nowhere, I was just like, mate, that first shit after birth is actually petrifying. I sent it to about 5 people. I was traumatized.
Yeah.
It was way worse than the birth.
Yeah.
Was doing a poo after birth. For me, it was terrifying.
Is that big? Do you know why? Is it because the body's hormones have changed the consistency of your next bowel movement? It's your body stops it for a while?
I just didn't go to the toilet for 2 days because I was
Yeah.
and then I was backed up. You're supposed to drink Movicol and I just didn't drink enough Movicol and I was like, I gotta go.
Oh my God.
But it's gonna hurt. I'm scared. And already you feel like your insides are falling out. So I don't know. I don't know if anyone else found it as horrifying as I did.
No, it is. I've heard it from multiple people.
I've never enjoyed the first poo after birth. To be fair, I would say for the first week, it's kind of, she's laughing. I would say for the first week, it's kind of a bit full on and a bit scary. But
Yeah.
then your body starts to figure it out again. I wish doctors and obstetricians and midwives talk to you about that a bit more. I wish that anyone had said to me, especially after Marlie, hey, you've just given birth, but you're going to give birth again. And that's going to be
without an epidural.
It's going to be worse. It's going to be in 24 hours or 48 hours. And it's going to be a number 2. And that's going to be an experience. And so whatever support you need to get you through that, we're here. I wish someone had had that conversation with me. You would think after 3, I would have thought through it, but I didn't. And I think I was 48 hours. And it was
on the toilet?
No. It was 48 hours after birth.
It was a big submarine.
Yeah, that I had to do a poo and it was great. Do you know the other thing that people don't talk about? It's called afterbirth pains. So every time you breastfeed, your uterus contracts. With every child you have, those afterbirth pains become more intense. So you breastfeed and then as you're kind of think of period cramps, but as you're breastfeeding, your uterus is contracting and those contraction pains afterbirth pains are so painful. Like they are so uncomfortable. And that's one thing that I think probably was better this time than last time, was that because I was in hospital, they were just bringing the pain medication at the right time every 4 or 6 hours or whatever it was. Whereas when you got to do it yourself, you're like, oh, I feel fine. And then you know, a couple of hours pass and you get a bit lax with your pain medication. And then all of a sudden you're in pain and it's gotten on top of you because you haven't been managing it. That was something that I was not expecting to be as painful as it was the afterbirth, like 7 days. It buckled over in pain.
How did it go introducing Marlie and Lola to Poppy?
They're obsessed with her. They are absolutely obsessed. I didn't have a baby for myself. Lola had a baby. This is Lola's baby. They love her so much, but Lola is struggling a little bit. I think it's probably the best version of it. She's not jealous of Poppy. Like she loves her sister and she wants to hold her and be like completely absorbed in everything that she just wants to hold her 100% of the time. But she also is feeling a little bit jealous of the fact that she is not the baby. And for example, you guys probably remember Lola was like dummy obsessed until she was 4. I have a dummy which I use I use for Poppy.
You took mine away and gave it to her.
So like I give Poppy a dummy only when she's fully fed up, just to like so that she's not using my boob as a dummy. So I'll give her that to help her get to sleep, or if we're in the car or something. Like she has like specific moments because she's a real sucker. She's always got her hands in her mouth or trying to put things in her mouth. Just like a mum. Sorry, that was
It's called
terrible.
oral fixation. I was told I had it as a child.
It's also not true.
Fucking Freud.
So she sees Poppy with a dummy and she gets really upset. And she's like, I wish I was a baby. I wish I had a dummy. The very first morning after I came home, I was in bed with Poppy feeding her and Lola came and got into bed with us. I'm very conscious about making sure that Lola gets a lot of me time and a lot of like, cuddles and everything else. But I was feeding Poppy and also, obviously giving Lola a cuddle in one arm and I had Poppy in the other. And Lola looked at me and she started crying and she goes, I wish I was Poppy. And I was like, why do you wish you were Poppy? And she's like, so that you would cuddle me like that too. And I was like, oh, sweetheart, I'm not cuddling her. I'm literally a milk maiden. I'm feeding her. Like
She needs this to survive.
But she's just such a sensitive little soul and she just wants her mum so much. And so she's not jealous of Poppy, but she wants more of me. And
she's
so
jealous
I'm trying.
she's not jealous of Poppy, but she's jealous that her time
It's hard.
has been cut. Yeah, like there was nothing else to focus on. She could come into the bed whenever she wanted. There was nothing else in the bed.
Yes.
She's sharing, her whole life is changing. So, I mean, I'm sure there'll be an adaptation process. That's very normal.
But Marlie seems fine. Like Marlie's chill.
She's a bit older though.
Yeah, and she also like gets
She's
a
already
lot.
been through it.
She also gets a lot from her dad. Like she's quite happy to be like, oh, dad, hug me. Like, mum's busy. But Lola doesn't get that. And so she's like, she's definitely the one that is struggling the most. And it's not in the way that you would expect. Like I thought she was going to have, she's definitely having big tantrums and whatnot as well. But I thought that she would be a bit like, I don't want the baby. Get the baby out of the way. She loves the baby.
Matt
but she
said,
wants me,
Obviously, I've been doing radio now with Matt for the last week, but Matt was saying that her emotions right now are just not matching the situation. Like her reaction is so extravagant to like the smallest catalyst.
Totally. Like this morning we had a full meltdown over brushing hair because she couldn't get her hair as neat as she wanted it. And so it was like stage 5, like screaming at me, threw a hairbrush at me, threw a hairbrush at Matt. Like it's really like she's very volatile. But it's got nothing to do with the hairbrush. It's got nothing to do with the hair. It's got to do with having to go to daycare and Poppy being able to stay with me all day. Like that's what it is, And I think that these are the adjustments. Also, being a middle child is character building. You're going to turn out great. Like you're going to have the resilience.
I'm a middle child. I'm fine.
You're going to be fine. Like
right? I'm fine, right? Someone? Anyone?
I think that there's benefits to it in the long run, but at the moment, it's definitely an adjustment period.
Okay, so that's how the girls have adjusted or like in the process of. How have things gone with Matt? Have you felt any shift in like your relationship?
I mean, I think there's always a shift in a relationship when there's a newborn baby. Not because you love each other any differently. Like you just don't have as much time for each other. You're not like, you can't snuggle in bed or the sleep is affected for everyone. So at the moment, I'm up at least every 2 hours in the nighttime. Matt is in the bed with me, but then he gets called into Lola's bed. So he kind of starts off in our bed and then he ends up in Lola's bed. And I think you just have such little time for each other in those first few weeks of postpartum. So
You probably get touched out too, do you?
I'm actually feeling pretty good. I'm not feeling touched out at the moment, but I do worry that it takes a little bit more for, and I don't know whether this is Matt specific, and I don't know whether he'd even agree with this. I worry that it takes him longer to feel connected to a newborn baby and to Poppy because he just doesn't get the contact time. Like, she's always on me. He's got the bigger kids. And so I'm kind of like, do you love her? Like, are you excited? Like, you look how cute she is. And he's very supportive and he's very much like, yeah, she's gorgeous. And like, he's like, she's such a good baby. It's been really, really easy. This is really enjoyable. But I don't think he feels the way I feel. Like, I'm obsessed with her.
I think that's normal.
And I'm like, I just want to climb inside your skin. And he's like, here's the baby. Take her
Is
back.
she exclusively breastfed?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just feel like so overwhelmingly in love with this baby.
You also have the hormones right now and the endorphins, and you've carried her and you birthed her and you pulled her out and you felt it all and you're feeding her. And Matt's, the husbands and the partners, they're just there in terms of like they don't have that same roller coaster ride.
Which is why I also think for a lot of men, we don't talk about postpartum depression, but for men, and obviously it presents very differently. It's a reaction to the situation. It's not hormone driven. But I do think that that's a very real thing. And it's because sometimes as women, we have the benefit of the hormone attachment. Sometimes it doesn't work out that way, as we know. But for guys, like, they just have to have it has to just appear, or the non-birthing partner. It just has to appear. And so I do kind of, I don't want to speak for Matt because he says he feels connected, but I don't think he could feel as connected as I do,
Yes.
And I am totally obsessed with her. I did not think I would be this obsessed. I thought it would take me a really long time to feel like this, and I thought I would feel a little bit resentful that Matt was getting to spend all this time with the other girls and I would get stuck with the baby. That's what I was really worried about. But I'm like so in love with this postpartum experience in comparison to what I've had before.
Can I tell you, for somebody that's up every 2 hours, you look less tired than you used to before you had her. You look fantastic. Like, you look amazing. You're obviously healing well, and
I feel good. I feel really good.
And maybe that is because you're happier this time as well.
Yeah. And I, if I look back on the other, experiences I've had, this has been by far my best and most I think there's something being really healing in this postpartum experience. It's like renewed my faith that like having newborns can be really joyful, and it can be, I don't want to say it's easy because it's never easy, but like we get told so much about how hard it's going to be. And I did fall down that rabbit hole a little bit with Lola, even though with Marlie, I was always like, no, having babies is really fun and there's so much joy in it. And now I feel like that's been restored again.
It's just hard because there'll be people listening right now that have had both. There are people that have just had the dream, and there are people that are like, have had the worst experience ever, and they just don't have an easy or a good baby.
Well, I think the thing is if you had that for your first birth, like if I'd had a Lola for my very first time around, I don't know if I would have a second baby. I don't know if I would have had more, because I don't know if I would have put that pressure on myself. But knowing that like Marlie was the unicorn, then we had like a tricky sleeper and colicky baby, and now we've had another, quote unquote unicorn, even though it's 2 hour sleeping windows, but it just is what it is with a newborn. I think that that's what gives me this real sense of like, oh, I can do this. I can manage this. And I emotionally and mentally can manage this. Whereas I totally understand why some women who don't experience that and have a really tricky one first up, you can't see what it could be like either. And like, why would you go back for a second if that's been your experience?
Bit of a PSA as well for people. I didn't really know this. I didn't know the time frame. You put something on your Instagram and you've had a lot of people respond to you saying like, what are you talking about? That you can't go swimming in the ocean for like 6 weeks post-birth.
This to me was such a fucking education piece. So yeah, I put up on Instagram the other day, we were down at Parsley Bay, and I was like, oh, it's just torture being at the beach, not being able to swim for 6 weeks.
It was also 30 degrees.
Yeah, it was 30 degrees and I was at the beach with a baby and I was like, just want to go in the water. And so many women who have had children themselves, like vaginal birthing women, and I'm talking like people who are friends with me, people who I don't know, but I know that they have kids, were like, what do you mean you can't swim? Just wear period underwear and go swimming. Just wear period swimmers. And it made me realize how much information is missed in that post-birth aftercare. I didn't realize that with my first baby either. Like I didn't know the information with Marlie. I think Alicia might have told me, my sister. But yeah, you're not supposed to swim for 4 to 6 weeks, especially if you have stitches or especially if you've had a vaginal birth, because your uterus is still open and you have a massive gaping wound in your uterus where the placenta is detached. So going swimming means that you could get seawater up in your uterus, which is like, non-hospitable. You introduce microorganisms. You can,
You get an infection. The misconception is that it's about blood in the water and blood loss, and that's not what it is.
No, it's about getting an infection in an open wound and you're still healing. So you're supposed to go for a 4 to 6 week appointment with either an obstetrician or your healthcare or whatever it is.
Britt's also put herself up for that one.
I have,
to check beforehand.
I keep getting vetoed.
And that's when you get the approval as to when you should and shouldn't swim, to make sure that everything's healed. So that was shocking to me that so many women who have had children or so many women who are pregnant didn't know that was the case. Mm-hmm. But it just shows you that there's such a gap. I think that often, especially when there is poor continuity of care, doctors think, they've been told this by a different doctor. And so they don't rehash things. But that's where information gets missed. And especially if it's your first time doing it, like unless you proactively are going out there and finding this information yourself, sometimes you just don't know. You just don't know.
This question was written in by someone called Whitney.
Hello, Whitney.
Whitney
Pockley.
Whitney Pockley that wants to know, you said before you had Poppy that you felt like something was missing and you weren't finished. So Whitney Pockley would like to know, do you feel more of a sense of completion that your family's complete?
It's like, do we need to prepare for another?
And also Pisha Lettet wants to know.
I really thought after having Poppy, I would have this overwhelming sense of like, our family is done now.
Oh my God, Britt, it didn't go how we thought.
And what was the feeling that you've had?
And I don't have that feeling, but I've accepted the fact that maybe I won't be that person who will have that feeling.
The playlist in my head right now is like when a Jaws shark comes to eat you. That's what I just felt.
No, mine is one more time.
I want to celebrate. Yeah. Okay, cute. So you're not done. That's lovely.
No, it's not that I'm not done.
You're going to need a bigger house.
I think I am done because I think logistically, relationship-wise, financially, like having kids is so
businessy.
expensive. Yeah, everything, lifestyle. I think the realities of life tells me that I'm done. I'm also,
Do you know what we could do? I have this weird innate feeling that I'm having twins. You could have one.
No, look, if I take it seriously, the realities of life tell me that I'm done. Like all the things that surround the situations of my life tell me, okay, that's enough. It's enough. I don't think I'm ever going to have the feeling that a lot of women describe when they're like, I birthed this child and I just knew my family was complete. I don't think I will have those feelings ever. I think I will miss having a newborn. I think I will miss going through the stages. And I was thinking about it this morning. And it's probably the one thing that makes me emotional about the whole thing is that it's such a shame that you have to live life all at the one time. And what I mean by that is as a woman, I know that my job is important to me. And I wish that there was a situation in life where you could go, okay, I'm going to take 10 years to pause that thing and I'm going to do this thing and I'm going to give this thing everything I have.
Yeah.
Because if I could just fuck off and be a trad wife for 10 years, and don't get me wrong, I don't mean an actual trad wife, but I mean
just
if I
focus
could just
on motherhood
be
and not work
with my kids and have 5 kids and live on a farm and grow vegetables, like I fucking would love that. Of course I would.
I reckon you wouldn't. And I am not you and I don't want to tell you how to feel. You just are such a working machine. It's like your cup is filled from work as much as it is from kids. I reckon the idea of it for you sounds good, but I think you'd miss the work balance.
I agree, but that's what I mean by not doing it at the same time.
Yeah.
I don't want to forgo that. Like I don't want to not have that in my life. I don't want to not be ambitious and have my career. I just want to do it in 10 years, but I know that it will not exist in 10 years. Like I know that it would be a sacrifice.
So the 1 week you've had wasn't enough?
That I'm not willing to make.
The 1 week we gave you wasn't enough.
What's that saying? It's like you can have it all, but you can't have it all.
You can't have it at the
once.
same time. And I think like if I could choose how I live my life, right? If someone could say, okay, you've got an extra 10 years, what would you want to do? I would probably be like, cool, let's have 2 more kids.
Wow.
Let's live somewhere where it's not expensive. Like that would be absolute joy for me. Like I love being a mum. It's it's my favorite thing. But I know I want a career and I love my career. And I know that just being a mum won't be enough for me in life.
Yeah.
Do you know what I love about hearing that though, Laura, is that you weren't necessarily the person who in your 20s was like, my biggest dream is to be a mum. You know, like, and so it's so nice to hear that you're like, that's the best thing I've ever done.
They're just like, it's amazing. I love being a mum. But like I said, you know, it's not going to be the only thing that's fulfilling to me. It just feels like sometimes you feel like you've drawn the short straw when you're doing it all at the same time, because I know that like this little bubble that I'm in right now where I'm like, I get to have a couple of weeks off work and spend time at home with the kids. Like I know that that has an end date to it. And like right now, Poppy's amazing. Like she's literally sat on my lap this entire record, hasn't made a peep. She is now. She's hungry. But like I would love to postpone this and be able to do this for longer. But I know that I also really want to have a career and I love our job and I love everything that we get to do. So I want to do both. I just wish there was more time to it, you know? So I know I'm done. And Matt definitely, the day after, he was like, I will book that vasectomy. So
funny because it used to be the other way around. It was like you that wasn't quite ready yet with the difference in their age. And Matt was like begging for another one. And now you're like, oh, let's keep going.
But it also is situational. I know that if I had another really colicky, difficult sleeper, I wouldn't feel like this.
Totally.
So she is a unicorn baby. She has been amazing.
Oh, it's also early days. Like you're still in a hormone bubble as well. So you don't know what you're going to feel in 6 months or a year. In terms of like, I'm not saying that's not going to be good, but like you might have that feeling of like, oh, I do feel like I'm
She might
satisfied.
bait and switch you.
Yeah, I know. It's coming. Hey.
No, I don't mean that. I mean
wood,
like
touch
you
wood.
might feel more satisfied when it's not just a few weeks in and she's a dream. Like when she's a bit more established in her life.
I wonder, and I do want to throw this out to you guys, like if you've had kids and you kind of have found yourself at the end of that journey, hate that word, but are you someone who didn't have that sense of completion and you just made the decision because you got to stop somewhere, right? Like
I feel quite complete.
Is that normal? I don't know. Because I feel like in my situation, in my friendship circles, everyone I know has been like, I am fucking done. Like they are so 100% done. Like my sister was like, the second I had Tassie, I was done. My girlfriend Kaya, absolutely done.
I think it's subjective.
At 2. And I wonder if there's more people who are like, I didn't feel done, but I knew I was. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think I mean, how long's a piece of string? What are your family circumstances? What are your financial circumstances? What other kids do you have at home? Like there's so many things that are so many things add up to your feeling of completion for somebody. So I think it's like, I don't think it's something that you could just like make a blanket statement on how many people feel complete. You know, it's so subjective to your personal circumstances.
How do you feel, Britt, now? Because I know, like, I mean,
I said this to somebody in the last day or two, and I cannot for the life of me remember who, but I'm spending a lot of time with my sister. Obviously, I've met Poppy. Everyone keeps saying that, like, when you're around people that are close to you and they're little ones, it makes you want them more. I just still haven't had it.
It was me who was saying this too.
Yeah, I just don't. I'm going to cry again. I just want it, and I don't have it. It doesn't come. Like, I don't feel it. But I don't know why I get so upset every time I think about it. It doesn't make me say I don't want them, but I'm just like, now's the time. I'm like, when I was going to meet Poppy, I was so excited. And I was like, it's going to be what gives me that rush and that feeling. And it just doesn't come. And it makes me so upset because like I'm desperate for it to come. But some things you just can't force.
but I don't think that that's that uncommon. I don't think that.
It's frustrating. It's frustrating. I'm frustrated.
I definitely felt a little bit when Alicia had Archer. Like I felt a little bit of like, oh, that's really special. But I'm not attached to other people's children.
I feel
don't get
that.
it. I don't get it from other. I look at other people's newborns and I'm like, fucking ew.
No, I don't feel that. I love them.
No offense to any of Laura's friends.
No, I
do know, and I know.
I'm looking at Ness right now.
No, block your ears.
I don't mean ooh as in. I mean like ooh as in like I don't want that.
Does,
Like I don't want that. It's not.
No, I don't want your life. That
No,
looks
because
terrible.
you know why it was even more intensified because we met up. There were a few of us. It wasn't just us two. There were some other people there as well, other women, same age as me. And when we left, one of the women were like, "Wow, it just makes me want it so bad. Doesn't it make you want it?" I felt like a sociopath. I was like, "Not really."
Zooming out, I actually think that it's because, and this could be me deeping it a bit too much, I think it's because we have been told that it is the most natural thing for a woman to feel is to want to be a mother.
It's not
and so
for
if
me.
you don't actually have that feeling take over your body, there must be something not feminine about you or like something that's a bit broken because you don't seem to have that pull.
Yeah, because it's supposed to be this natural thing that happens to women where it's like your body starts to tell you that this is what you're here for.
So
and it
true.
gives you the hormones and it gives you the flood of feelings. And like I'm willing myself to feel it. And I think that's why I get more upset because like I'm so in control of my life in every other aspect, and that's the one thing I cannot figure out.
And there's so many sacrifices that come with it, and the reality is you don't know how you're going to feel about it until they're here.
Yeah.
I never had, and I know we covered it very briefly, but I never had that maternal pull. And I say this because when I say ooh, I'm like I happily like want to hold my friends' kids, and I can see that they're beautiful, and I can see that my nephew and niece are beautiful. None of that gave me the feeling of wanting to have them myself.
Yes.
It just didn't. It didn't. And so like
You needed
I
your
would be
own.
like, yeah, it's cute for you, give it back.
But I love that for you.
There has been something deeply different
Yeah.
about my own experience of motherhood and having my own children. Like there is whatever that feeling is an indescribable feeling. But the problem is I know it doesn't happen for everyone, and so then you still feel like you're taking that punt. You know, you're taking or making that decision around. Well, will it hit me if I just have the kid? You know,
It is the feeling of like I don't want to say that I'm broken. I know we say that a lot when it's like when you go through IVF and you don't have the feelings. You're like, oh, my body's broken. It's not that I think it's broken. But I do feel like it's a semi-abnormal feeling. And it's the number of people that have told me in the last few years, just you wait until your sister has a baby. It's just different. Like it'll make you feel something different because it's the closest thing you will have to a baby, right? Is like my
being an
sister.
auntie.
Well, especially just to somebody like my sister because we shared the same room until we were 16. We have never had an argument. We've traveled to 60 countries together. We worked in a hospital together for a decade. You've never met two people that are more entwined than my sister and I, like in terms of siblings. But when that many people tell you just wait, it'll come and it doesn't come, that's when you're like, have I got a gene missing? Like, is there something in my DNA that is not clocking that I'm supposed to have these attachments or want to procreate? And I'm not saying women are here to procreate. Evidently, I'm the person that is flying the flag the other way in a way. But I'd be lying if I didn't say that is super upsetting to me that I cannot even make it come.
If you don't have those feelings at all, and tell me if you don't want to answer this, if you don't have those feelings at all, and the thing that makes you the most upset is wanting to will those feelings into existence, do you entertain the alternate of being like, well, maybe I don't actually want them and I just think that I want to have a kid?
Yeah, and that's part of why I get so upset and why I think about it so much because I don't have it clear cut. Because if you say to me, do you want a child right now? I say, God, no, I don't know how I'd fathom that. If you say to me, look at your future, do you see children? I would say yes. And those two things, one of them doesn't add up.
Yeah.
Like you can't have one without the other.
But I think it plays into the thing I was saying just before around this whole idea of having to live life all at the same time.
Yeah,
Like
I think so.
Like having to make decisions that don't feel like they fit together, but they have to be done at the same time because the window of your 30s is finite. You know what I mean? And so,
yeah, especially now I'm 31, so I don't have long. Not 9 years left.
But you know what I mean?
And
Like,
I also wonder
it's
if
this
like
pressure cooker.
Yeah, I also wonder if, and I think I could be making this up as well because I've never had the feeling, but I wonder if now that my specific relationship with Ben, because we are in unusual circumstances, we don't live in the same country,
Adds pressure to it.
well, I think there's a part of it, not just that adds pressure because I'm like, I can't imagine how it would work. There's a part of me that's like, I just feel a bit robbed in terms of, and I hate to compare myself, but let me explain it. I feel robbed. Was Ben absolutely worth the wait? Like I met him at 35 and then the last 3 years we've never been together. We don't do normal things. We don't have a normal relationship. I don't get to live the normal life. I feel a bit robbed if I then had to have a baby now. I feel like we missed some of the best parts of a relationship of those early days of just being together, being able to experience just each other and not just have this baby that you know is going to change the dynamic of your relationship. So I feel like if I rush in and not that it's rushing, it's 3 years and I'm 38, but I feel like if we add that baby now, I missed those years. Like, and I don't want to compare my relationship to anyone else's, you can't. But I look at my sister and I'm so jealous of her relationship with her partner, Jay. You know, the three of us were almost in a throuple for a while. We've traveled the world together. But I look at their relationship. They have traveled the world as a couple. They work together. They like have all these experiences that I don't get. And that makes me be like, if I just throw a baby in now, Ben and I miss these moments that you can never get back. And it's definitely something else. I'm like, well, do I move to Italy and then have a few years with Ben as a couple and then do it? But then all of a sudden I'm in my 40s and do I want to go down the track in my 40s? Can I even do it? Will IVF even work in my 40s? if I risk waiting, I might never have it. I might have to start the IVF cycle now that might take me 3 years and I'll be in my 40s anyway. Like there's so many things. And then I get so overwhelmed in my brain that I implode and just
Don't do anything.
have a breakdown,
paralyzed.
just don't do anything. I power down and I'm like, I can't deal with it. It's for another day.
Life doesn't stop and your relationship doesn't stop once you have kids, right? And I think my biggest lesson with Matt, obviously your relationship can be affected and like at sometimes your relationship takes a blow, like things get harder, definitely with different periods. But if you choose your partner well and your partner is a proactive person in the parenting, like you grow as a couple in parenting, you know, and I think that for us, our relationship, like we weren't dating for very long before I got pregnant with Marlie. We were only together for a year, I think, before I got pregnant. A year and a half maybe.
Yeah.
So a lot of our experiences have been as parents. You know, a lot of our relationship experience, we didn't have, you know, I mean, I spent more time traveling with my exes than I ever did with Matt at the start. I had more experiences with them and time with them than what I ever had with Matt.
That's a good point.
You did get to name a star with Matt.
But I did. I mean, Matora is still out there. But the reality is I think that, you know, you can prepare yourself for all the worst versions of what something's going to be. And I think that's what I did with this pregnancy. I prepared myself, so over-prepared myself for what the worst version of this was going to be. And then often it is absolutely not that. And in terms of like feeling connected and feeling as though you're, you know what it is that you want. Like I did not feel connected to this pregnancy at all. I just didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't want to admit it at the time because I was like, is that going to manifest into postpartum? Am I going to be a shitty mum to this kid?
Yeah.
Am I not going to feel connected when she comes out? I didn't feel connected during pregnancy and I could not be more obsessed with being a mum this time around. And like
that's so
that's
nice.
probably been the biggest surprise.
Yeah.
That's not to say that that's an answer for you and my experience is not going to be what you experience. But I think there's only so much pressure you can put on yourself for your decision making right now.
I'm 99% sure that we're going to do it or at least try to do it. And I have come to terms with the fact that no matter when I decided, I am going to be an quote unquote older mum because you can't take back time.
Geriatric is actually the term.
Well, I've been geriatric for 4 years. You're geriatric from 35.
Sorry,
actually,
that was just a dig that you probably didn't need.
we laugh about it all the time, but you're geriatric from literally like 33 or 34 now. So I've accepted that like if it happens, I will be an older mum. So I know people that have had babies way older, into their 40s and sometimes into their 50s. So it's not necessarily that. But personally, I do not want to be mid 40s and starting because I just think
That's hard.
it's harder. It's harder on you. You don't have the same energy. You don't have the same, like, life's just different. And so
I do definitely think that this pregnancy has been the hardest on my body in terms of like it's the most wear and tear. And I know that we spoke a lot about my labia pre like actually birthing this. I would like to report that things once again have pretty much gone back to normal. Like it is.
I love that that's the headline you don't want out there is that you've got a fat labia. You're like, my labia's back.
I don't care. I'm just like, no, because I've talked about my fat labia so much and I fucking lent into the fact that it was a blue avatar. Like we talked about it all. But honestly, I thought that having 3 kids was going to do some irreversible damage. I thought that we were stuck, fat lips and all. But honestly, it is shocking to me how much things change post-birth. One, I think that it's pressure related, but also, and I learned this, so when you have a huge amount of estrogen in your body, your labia increases in size. So your like literal labia is bigger because of the estrogen. So what happens when you go through menopause is your labia shrinks and it shrivels up and some people lose their labia altogether. So like you could go from having like juicy lips to nothing.
But you probably have to remember why it does it too. The body does everything for a reason. It's there it's like a cushion. It's there to protect. It's there, like it's doing a job. It's not just fat to like, fuck you, I'm going to ruin your sex life for the rest of your life.
No, but it's meant to be more desirable. It's like,
yeah, people get filler in their labia.
We get it chopped off because we don't think it's desirable, but like our actual anatomy is meant to be like the bigger the better.
The only thing I'm thinking about right now is if you guys
Like a
haven't
baboon.
listened to the episode that Britt and Laura did with my friend Nat, she spoke about the bonobo that has a giant bulging clitoris.
It's supposed to because it's meant to be desirable, but we just have like, because of fashion trends and everything else, we've like decided that big labias are not in fashion. But like I'm
We're
telling
gonna rub
you,
our labias together like the bonobos do.
if you have a humongous labia, it's because you got good estrogen, girlfriend. You're like, it's great.
Guys, I don't endorse this. I do not encourage it. But there is a trend right now. They're seeing a huge uptake in people getting filler in their labia. It's back.
Labia fluffing. thing.
It's back. Fluffing's back.
It's probably because all these menopausal women have lost their labias, and they for so many years we complained about it, and now all of a sudden we're like, fucking hell, let's shrivel it up.
Stop fucking the trends. Stop following the trends because they always come back.
But I did say that I was like considering a labiaplasty. I can't have one now. There's no labiaplasty. It's just shriveled back up.
It'll be back.
Yeah, I know, with the fourth kid.
Guys, thank you so much for. I mean, Laura, thank you for coming in. Thank you for coming in with Poppy. Like, so I know
I
you
needed
wanted
to be paid, so I was like, this maternity leave is really going to hurt the
Don't
sides.
put that out there. We are paying you the same amount. There's absolutely you're the boss.
I own the company.
Exactly. You're the boss. You could go for a year and you'd still get paid.
No, that's a joke.
Not. I do the accounts. I paid you the same amount.
I'm making a joke. I know I get paid. No, I love being here. This is my joyful work.
There is a lineup of people outside that are waiting to hold and meet Poppy. So we are going to wrap, but I do have to get on with my day with your husband as well.
That's true.
That sounds weird.
And and I'm going to start like coming back on. So like I'll do, I think like the way that we'll probably attack this is like I'll come back for like an episode a week. Not straight away. I think I'll
that quickly.
I think
told
I'll
you.
have another week off firstly, but I'll
Keisha-
come back for like an ep a week and then we'll go from there. But right now while she's sleeping through recordings, I'm here, baby.
Keisha and I were, Keisha mainly, but she was like, okay, let's like prep the schedule for what the next couple of months is going to be like. And I said like, look, I can guarantee you, Laura will be back in 2 weeks max. So like she's
I
going
just
to be
want
back.
you to know you can take as long as you need.
Because Keisha gets paid more while you're gone.
That is true. However, I don't want you to feel like in 6 months' time and be like, those fucking bitches, they made me come back 3 weeks later because
No.
I couldn't handle it.
Laura knows.
I love
She can,
my job.
Laura
And
can do what she wants.
Yeah. And I for me, and this was probably the most healing thing throughout my postpartum with Lola, was being able to come and have adult conversation that wasn't just about a baby. I know we've spoken a lot about pregnancy and a lot about everything else the last couple of weeks because being pregnant has kind of become my entire personality. But that's done now. And like I'm craving talking to my friends. I'm craving having conversations that aren't just about being, a mum. So I love doing this. It's my favorite job. It's my favorite job.
We love having you back. Take as long as you want. Come back when you want. You own the place, so you can come and you can flounder in and out. But guys, this whole episode is on YouTube. If you want to see how amazing Poppy was the whole time, she literally is just an absolute angel there. There might be a little titty that flashes in, but
Wait, she just did poo on me, but for everyone.
Hold her up.
Savannah.
She's so cute. She's been an absolute angel.
She is an angel. All
you
right,
know the
guys.
drill.
You know the drill.
Tell your mum, tell your dad, tell your dog, tell your friends, and share the love because
We love Poppy.
we love sloppy.
Poppy.